Hello, this is Jamie Magritte. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I want to show you how I made this card. I had a request to do a tutorial using the poppy, so I made it into a Christmas rose. Let me see why I couldn't figure out why it was dark. My lamp got turned off. There we go. Alright. Let's bring in what we're going to use. I'm going to bring in a scratch paper. Put this aside for a second. Okay, I'm using the Tidings of Christmas Designer Series paper. The painted labels dies, which came with the poppies. I'm using one of the dies from poinsettia dies. Oops, I'm not using those two. Those two are for a different project. I'm using painted poppies. I'm using this one, and this one, and this one. And then I'm using the sentiment out of poinsettia petals. For cardstock, this is 1 3/4 inch strip of the Designer Series paper. I have 2 of the early espresso, which are 1/2 inch long. I have another piece of the Designer Series paper, which is 4 by 5 1/4. A piece of white to stamp on, and my card base, which is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4. These aside for a minute. I also have, this one is from the poinsettia dies. I've cut out 2 cherry cobbler, 2 early espresso, 1 out of gold foil, and this one I'm just going to cut those little balls off and use them to decorate the background. This one's also from the poinsettia one. I cut out 1 of those out of foil. This is from the painted labels dies. I cut out the label out of white, and then these are the ones I'm going to use to cut out the flowers after I stamp them. Okay, so let's put this aside. Let's go ahead and do our stamping. Okay, so let's bring in this label first. Start there. Open the cherry cobbler. I'm going to stamp my sentiment. Over on the bottom right hand side. Perfect. Let's set that aside. We're done with that. Let's bring in our scrap paper. And I also need memento black. I'm using cherry cobbler, soft succulent. I've got hair. And memento black. Okay. So I'm going to take the poppy one. I'm going to ink it up in the memento black. I'm going to stamp it. Didn't come out very well. I might do it again. And then I'm going to take the outline for the leaves. I need 3 of those. Don't want to get too close to the poppy. I'm going to stamp that again just because I don't like how that inside came out. It's going to be covered anyway with the gold thing, but I want a good impression. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to come in with this one. I'm going to start with a cherry cobbler. I'm going to ink it up, and I'm going to stamp my over my flower. I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to make sure the whole thing has a little bit of color on it. I'm going to bring in my, it looks really dark, but it dries back for the difference. I'm going to wash this off. I'm going to use the same stamp to fill in the leaves. Since they're all stamped together, it makes it pretty easy, and I'm using the soft succulent. Make sure it's dry. Pick it up. Without re-inking, do the other one. Okay, then I just need to bring in those dies and go cut those out. I'm going to put you on pause, and I will be right back. Okay, got those cut out. Let's bring in all of our pieces and we'll start putting this together. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and glue this centerpiece inside the center of this flower. Don't need much glue, just a little bit. Okay. My snips. I'm going to cut off these little balls off of this one here. Need 6 of them. I think I used 6 of them. Usually use an odd number, but oops, it's still on the scissor. That's why I couldn't find it. 3. I'll just cut a couple more so I have them all ready. And I'm not trying to be precise in making them perfectly round, I'm just cutting them off of the stem. I need to clean my scissors. They're sticking to my scissors. Okay, that's all that's left. You could continue and use that too if you wanted, but I didn't. Okay, I'm going to move this aside for a minute so I don't lose those pieces. I'm going to come in with this on the back of this strip. I'm going to put some glue. And we're going to add the early espresso layer. I'm going to make my width a little bit wider than I did on this one because I want a little bit to show behind this white piece. So let's see. It's about a 1/4 of an inch. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Just make sure you start on the same edge. The designer series paper is 6 inches and these are only 5.5. Okay, I'll put that aside for a second to dry. I'll bring this piece in. We're going to mount this designer series paper to the front of our card. And you don't need much glue, a little bit will do it. This to the front of the card with maybe 1/2 inch at the bottom here. Let's move it up a little bit more. There we go, like that. Try to bring it to the edge if you can. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to snip off any that's hanging off. Longer scissors probably would work better. You'd get a smoother cut. A little bit of brown hanging off here. Okay. Oops. Alright, now we're going to bring in our label. We're going to put dimensionals on the back of it. Just going to put one in each corner. And I'm just pushing my finger into it so that I can get that paper to pull up a little bit so I can grab a hold of it. Okay, this is going to go right here. See, it looks nicer with that brown, if I get it straight, with the brown on either side of it. Okay, now we're going to bring in this one. I'm going to put dimensional on the back of it. I'm going to do them. I'm going to put it right in the center. Figure out which way we want it to be. That's going to go right here. Okay, now we need our leaves. I'll put some glue on the back. I'll tuck it in, one under here. Another one, doesn't matter which one. Under here. This one here. Tuck in over here. Okay, that looks pretty as it is, but I'm going to add a little bit more embellishment. I'm bringing these guys, and I'm going to just dot some glue on the little suctions where just a little tiny bit. I'm not squeezing the bottle at all, I'm just dabbing it in. I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to tuck this one in over here. It is going to hang off the label, that's alright. Go ahead and push it down. If it sticks to the card, that's fine. If it doesn't, that's fine too. The other one's going to go at the bottom. Out of frame, sorry. I'll leave that top one so I have something to hold on to that's not gluey. It in over here. You want to make sure it's not hanging off the card, so if you need to bend it a little bit, do that. You don't want to cover up your sentiment. So this is thin enough you can move it and get it to stick down where you want it. My fingers are sticky now. Okay, now we're going to do the red ones, or the cherry cobbler. I'm going to do the same way. Add that little dots of glue. This time we're going to stick it in farther. And a little bit above the brown one. Okay, this one. I'm going to take this part off, this last little bit off here. Glue on this. Ah, no fumble fingers. Okay, this one's going to get tucked in here. Okay, this little piece that's left over. It's going to get tucked in over here on top of this leaf a little bit. Okay, Okay, now we can bring in these little gold dots. I'm just going to add a couple here and there for embellishment. Put a couple over here. Now I'm barely squeezing the bottle. I'm just kind of letting gravity do the glue. Here, a couple over here, and maybe one more over here. Okay, I'm going to bring in my take your pick tool. Okay, I probably should take this out and use this. Okay, these are all upside down, so. That worked. Come on. Oops. Doesn't want to stay stuck. There we go. There we go. It's a simple card. I think it's quite elegant. Like a country Christmas. It looks like a Christmas rose instead of a poinsettia. I mean, instead of a poppy. Here's the one we made together. Here's the one I did previously, with a little bit thinner of the brown. Well, thank you so much for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.